Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. My name is Paul Sanneman. I'm your host. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. My guest today is Benny Friesen from Next Level. So, as one coach to another, God, I've done this for a long time. Benny, how did you get into it? And give me your little backstory of how I got into coaching.
Okay, so I tell people I've been in construction for 27 years, but to be honest, it's really been my whole life. My dad was in construction. I grew up in construction. I became a GC with my own company at 28, and I started growing. Along the way, kind of started out, I'd have friends that said, "Hey, Benny, can we meet for lunch? I need some advice." Okay, so I'd get a lunch out of it. They didn't like what I told them, maybe they wouldn't buy my lunch. But anyways, that's kind of how it started. That kind of just evolved until I had my own business coach along the way. And I repeatedly was encouraged, Benny, you have a touch for this. This is what you're really good at. It's something you're passionate about. You really care about other people. So yeah, I took some training, developed my skills. So now I've been coaching contractors, businesses that are associated with the construction industry for over 12 years.
Okay. So, Benny, I was looking at you have a methodology you use, right? Like, can you sort of explain to the audience what your methodology is and how you apply it to construction?
Absolutely. So I'll start out kind of high level and then we'll get down into the details. So, when people come to me, they usually come to me because of one of three problems that they're having. They usually have a time problem. They feel like they don't have enough time. They're not getting done what needs to be done. They have a people problem, either not the right people, not enough people, or they're having a money crunch. They have a money problem. And so that's where they kind of start from. So I try to help them from there. But what I've learned over the years is there's 5 foundational key dynamics that they need to start with getting in straight in their company.
Okay.
And they are leadership. They need to understand their customers. They need to understand their finances. They need to have clarity around their team, and they need a plan for sales and marketing. So those are the 5 dynamics I work with. And although they all want to start with sales and marketing, or most do, really usually we always start with leadership, because leadership is where usually the challenges all stem from.
Now, I can relate to that, being a coach for, probably longer than you've been alive. Uh, what I found, the biggest challenge I had as a coach, and maybe how I tackle this, is contractors usually are craftsmen. They're pick a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter. They have some ability that makes them a craftsman. They're good at it. And then they have to go from being a craftsman to an entrepreneur. And a lot of guys have a difficult time making that shift. So how do you help somebody who's like, I'm really good at framing. All I got to do is find a business and hire my friends, and I got a framing business. So how do you convert them to more of an entrepreneurial mindset?
Okay, that's a very good question, Paul. And most of my clients are technicians that have grown a business. Those are most of my clients that I've had over the years. It's the AC guy that was incredible AC technician. He had and ended up hiring a friend to work with him who was also a good HVAC technician. And this thing grew, and they did really good work and made people really happy and charged fair rates. And all of a sudden they got 12 trucks. They have 25 employees with the people in the shop and the office. And then they come to me and they're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm working 80, 90 hours a week. I don't know where my money's at.
I used to make $150,000 a year working 40 hours a week. Now I'm working 90 hours a week, and I'm lucky if I make the same amount in white. Why did I do this, right?
Very good point. And so one of the things why we have to start with leadership is early in this thing. Now, obviously, we got to get some early wins. Lots of times there's some planning, some time management, some organization pieces we have to get really early in the coaching. But then we want to really connect with, why did I do this? Why did I go on this entrepreneurial journey when I'm a technician? And so we really want to kick back to that original foundation that they got into. The reason they said, hey, I wanted more time with my family. I wanted to have a plan for retirement, and we kind of get back to those foundational pieces, and we're saying, okay, let's get a plan to get this business so it serves your life. Almost always these business owners, when they come to me, they have a business that owns them.
Right.
They're answering to their business, and our goal is to really get back that business to where that business is serving their life and serving their original goals. And hopefully we get it to the place where it's going to be serving their business. The business is going to be serving their life at a higher level than it ever has before.
Right. Well, I know the difference between owning a job and owning a business. If you go away and it stops, you own a job. And most guys own. Right. So when you talk about leadership, how do you, I've done this many years. My experience is the most important talent that any entrepreneur can have is the ability to build a team. Even if I need to sell, I need to, frame, and you can always get other people to do stuff. To me, people like Elon Musk, the reason he's where he is he knows how to build teams, right? So how do you transition this craftsman into a leader?
Okay, so there's a key piece of in this first leadership dynamic that I talked about that's critical, and it's called vision. Now, the way I define the word vision is seeing. This isn't some ethereal, up in the sky, puffy clouds in the sky type vision. This is really granular. It's about knowing where I'm at. We call that locating, knowing really where I'm at. Which people do I have on the bus? Where is my finances? What kind of market share do I own? What I am. So it's all about locating. And the second piece of that is to step out and look out just a little bit, maybe let's 2.5 to 3 years, and get a picture of where we're going. And really what we know where we're at. Now, what would this look like if it was back to serving my life? Okay. What would this business look like? So we got to get a really clear picture of what that would look like. And that includes financially, it includes marketing, it includes your team, it includes all those things. Now, in my experience, any business owner that can get really clear and understand who and what they are and what they have, what they don't have in every area of their business, and they can get really clear on what that needs to look a few years out, half the battle's won.
Okay. Now, I've had an issue with people, and maybe you can help me with this one. A lot of times, I'm going to call them the tradesman becomes a victim, right? He goes, well, I can't find good people. I can't find good clients. And rather than accepting responsibility as a leader, they blame their wife, their brother, the politics, everything else but themselves. How do you help make that transition to not be a victim and own that as a leader, they're responsible for all that?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. They have to be telling themselves the right story. And so I'm not trying to get into psychology here, but the fact is when we're telling when we keep telling ourselves the wrong story, we're going to keep getting the wrong results, right? So we got to have to be self-aware and realize, okay, maybe there is another perspective out of here, out of this. Maybe I need to find someone to talk to. Maybe I'm going to need some help to see the bigger picture. When people come to you or me, often it's not about, hey, you know what? I need to develop a good mentoring program in my company. They never see it that. They never start there. Rarely do they start there. It's like, I don't have the right people. Or they'll say, you know what? There's not people in my area that are good people.
Or they'll say, hey, all my clients are idiots. They're not willing to pay to do it right. But so, and our experience is, how do you get people to we have them read books, you have them because you're their mentor or their coach. How do you get them to accept responsibility that if they have any issues, it all is about them, not the other stuff?
Well, that can be a challenge. And one of the things I like to do is invite them on that journey. Now, one thing you cannot do is make somebody change. So they have to have some hunger. They have to want it. I think one of the facts is that paying the coaching fee is actually a gift that you give your client, because all of a sudden it gives them motivation. And that's almost always the challenge for these people that are overwhelmed, okay, and already facing challenges. They need motivation to move out of where they're stuck, because they're stuck. They're keeping on doing the same things and hoping to get different results. And we all know
Right.
that that's not where you want to go.
Well,
So
my experience is the more they pay you, the better they listen. Because
absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
I have given my friends advice for free for years, and none of them have ever listened. Where people in when I was coaching, the more they would pay me, they go, "Look, I'm paying you X dollars an hour. I'm going to listen to what you say because it's a stupid expression of money if I don't pay attention." Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had friends that were in really tough situations in their business, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go help this guy. I'm just going to go help this guy, and we give him really solid advice. And of course, he didn't take it, and it didn't work. And then the next guy who actually pays me high ends up hiring me as a coach. We work together for a few months. We start making progress. All of a sudden, he's like, "Man, this is amazing. This is so worth it." But the fact is, it incentivized him to make those steps. And I want to tell you, Paul, of all the people I work with, and I'm really candid about this fact. If you really want to make the magic happen, it's really probably not going to be me at the end of the day. It's going to be a matter of how much you engage. Yes, I have the tools. Yes, I can help hold you accountable. Yes, I've been down this road many, many times with other construction companies. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to you to apply these things. You're going to have to take the time. You're going to have to implement. You actually are going to have to maybe hold some people accountable on your team. I'll help you. But at the end of the day, that's where the real magic happens. And when I can help them make that shift, they start seeing the change. And then we build momentum. And that's when really we can make things happen.
I've noticed that in coaching. I mean, I think all businesses should have a coach. I can't think of one successful sports team that doesn't have a coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, a lot of people in business don't understand the need for someone like yourself that stands outside and has learned, the difference between I guess, a wise person and not so wise is you learn from other people's mistakes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
not your own, because they're very expensive.
Yes.
So you've been with a lot of people, you've seen them make the mistakes, you know what to do right. And if they will listen to you, my experience, I'm sure it's true for you, if people would just do what you told them to do, it always works, right?
Absolutely. And the fact is, it isn't just me telling them what to do, is we're strategizing together. It's
Right.
having somebody on your team. Next level is not here to say, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's like, I'm going to get together with you. We're going to talk about these tools that we have. Let's apply them to your business. Let's find the fit for you in whatever these areas are your challenge, and we'll find this solution together.
So, Benny, can you tell me about a success? You don't have to mention the business's name, but a construction company you've worked with and you've helped them actually get to their vision and what that was and what you did and what they did. A real example. Not you don't have to give the name of the company. Call ABC Construction. Okay.
Yeah. Well, one of the funnest ones I like to talk about is a young guy who came to me, and I said, you know what, you're too small a company. You're not a fit. I can't help you. He was a young guy. He was a single guy. He had a pickup, and he had his buddy helping him, and they were starting into a landscape business. Okay. And I said, nope, I'm sorry, I can't help you. He said, no, I'm going to hire you, Benny. You just have to tell me what you're going to charge me. I'm going to hire you. After a little journey, I said, okay, if you're committed to doing that. Well, today, now he's followed that path. Okay. And he developed himself a lot along the way. He grew, and pretty soon he had another crew working, and then another crew working. And then as this company grew, he was learning so much about being a leader. He was learning so much about investing and money. And all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I can leverage what I'm doing. And all of a sudden he was finding property in Belize, and then he was building houses in Belize. And this journey's on and on. Well, today he's considering, there's a lot of right now in the marketplace, there's small construction companies or smaller construction companies are being bought out by big guys. And now he's kind of entertaining those thoughts, and he's kind of thinking, well, where are we going next? But it was just a fun journey because he somehow in his mind had the vision that, you know what, if I have a guy on my team that probably costs me less than any of my other employees, is going to walk me on this journey, there is a path. And he stuck to the path and he just grew one step after another. And yeah,
So,
now he's a significant influencer in his city that he lives in. Yeah, it was just been on a fun journey. And so now I think we've worked together for 8 years. And so now, yes, we talk about life, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey to go from, literally working out of my pickup that just parked in front of my rented apartment to where he is today.
so how many employees does he have today, and how large is his business? Just give people some idea of scope.
You know what? I would guess that he's probably around 20 employees and between 2 and 3 million a year.
Great. And that's from like his apartment and a truck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now if you work with a lot of contractors, if you were going to tell the audience as a contractor, you like give three points of advice. If you're meeting a guy in a restaurant, you're going to see him again. He's a contractor. You're going east. He's going south, whatever. And you say, look, if I could tell you three things that you need to do as a contractor and will help you more than anything else, what would those three things be?
You putting me on the spot, but there's a couple pieces that I would do. Is number one is I would say, figure out where you want to be 3 years from now.
Okay.
And then the most powerful thing they can do once they have that is have a plan, what you're going to do for the next 12 months by the month that's going to develop on this plan, something to hold you accountable, a way to hold you accountable. Okay. And probably the third thing is get really, really clear on where your money's at.
Okay. I agree. Those are very good things to do, because a lot of, I use example, a lot of people, PepsiCo will tell you where Taco Bell is every hour. Costco knows where they are every 3 hours. They do they match a number of employees to the number of people in the store. That's why they count people coming in. So they manage their literally P&L like every 4 hours. And you get somebody like Mama Mia's Pizza Parlor or whatever, and they don't know until the end of the year how they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most contractors, my experience is, if they can't answer the question, did you make or lose money this week and why, they're in trouble.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, sometimes it's just a matter of, it can be very simple. And, so sometimes it's a really tough, if a contractor starts saying, well, a P&L don't work for me, because it can kind of be confusing by the month if you got 9 different projects and some are starting and some in the middle and some in the last. But you can do amazing financial projections by the project. You break out all these different subcontractors. I'm talking for GC now. And you can know about, they might have 3 phases. It's real easy. You can have a simple spreadsheet. We're not talking anything complicated. Now, there's tons of software out there to do this, but I'm thinking at the simplest level. You can have a spreadsheet and know that, hey, you know what? The underground plumbing, the top out plumbing, the finished plumbing, you can have that broke out. You can know what's budgeted. You can know all those numbers, and you can watch all your targets really clearly and know exactly where we are. Are we 10% below budget? Are we 10% above? What's the number? Where are we at? All that can be really, really clear with just a little bit of work.
Well, what I found out is the subcontractors aren't a problem, because they're held to a budget, right? The plumbing costs X, the framing costs X, so they're sort of a fixed cost. My experience is your own labor. If the guy takes 4 hours to frame a door as opposed to 40 minutes, you got an hour and you're going to lose a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. So how do you help clients track their own labor costs?
Well, typically we use a lot the same idea. You have to know what you got budgeted for a project. So we were just talking with a contractor the other day, and we were talking about the phases, and he was doing, so if you're doing everything internally and it's your own teams, it's the same way. Yes, you might not have a number from an HVAC company, or you brought up setting doors in a house or doing finish work in a house. You may not have, oh, you know what? A finish company is going to charge me $7,000 to do the finish work. But you should know what rate per hour your employees need to be making, and you should be able to have that broken down for per hour, and you should be able to do very much the same thing on a same type of a spreadsheet to know, hey, you know what? We actually had for two guys, we had two weeks. We had 10 days here for two guys. We had 160 hours here for these guys to do this custom home, all the finish work in this home. And we're like 110 hours into this, and we're only a quarter way done. Like, we can see right away, hey, we have a problem here.
Right. Well, and to me, if you can't measure it, you can't fix it, right? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
if
Absolutely.
you don't know where you are any given week, it's hard to fix it. And unfortunately, a lot of contractors don't know how they did until the job's over, which is way too late.
And I want to just insert this, Paul, and this is it's kind of a crazy thing, but I found it almost exclusively true. Just measuring it starts to fix it.
It does.
Just measuring starts to fix it. You don't even have to change it. I mean, you naturally will start changing. If you realize, hey, you know what, we have a problem here. We're halfway into this job and we've used up just about all the hours. Your brain starts changing. You start changing the way you see projects.
Absolutely. You know, I think most contractors, if they don't measure what they're doing and know they're making or losing money weekly on projects, it's impossible to manage it. And that's why a lot of guys lose money. So, Benny, how do you charge? What do you do? And tell me a little bit about your business model so people listening to me could get an idea.
Okay. So what I do is I take my clients through the 5 dynamics. We work through leadership, we work through customers, we work through finance. Well, maybe I'll tell you a little breakdown of each one of those if we have the time, Paul. So leadership is really about, you know, the basic time management, planning and organization, business vision, like we talked about, understanding, okay, how do I see all of this? And we start the discussion around numbers, which you just brought up. We start that discussion in that leadership. They have to start thinking different. They have to start thinking about systems. That's is an important in the early stage. The next dynamic we jump into is customers. Okay. So we really want to turn on our head what we do for our work, because most contractors, all they can think about, this is what I offer, instead of this is the solution I'm bringing to my customers. And if they can make that turn, then they can connect with better customers, with more of the right customers. And, you know, just really quick, I know this is really general, but I just tell you, all the contractors that are listening, probably about 80% of your problems are coming from about 20% of your customers. So you need to realize that.
It works all the time. Absolutely.
And on the other side, about 80% of your profit is coming from about 20% of your customers. And so what that tells you is there's customers you really want to move away from, and there's customers you really want to start moving toward. And there's a whole study and all that. So that's what's customer strategy about. Then we get into finance. And it's really about, first, knowing where we're at. What do we know? What do we know about our company with financing? And understanding our profit and loss, understanding financial reports for projects like we are by phase, like we just discussed, as well as financial projections and cash planning into the future, because you can't grow a business without cash. And how to track and keep track of the basic numbers instead of just getting balance sheets and P&Ls and all these reports that don't really tell you a story, cooking it down till you get numbers that really tell you a story. Then we get into the team, the people strategy. Who do you need on your bus? Are they in the right seats? Who do they answer to? Have they agreed to do what you want them to do? Do you have a plan to onboard them, make sure they're doing what you want to do? Are you mentoring them, get one-on-ones, all those pieces? Then finally, we get to sales and marketing, which is really, you know, a clear customer promise. Make sure you're messaging right, because now you know what customers you're making that 80% of your profit on. You really want to focus talking to them, connecting with them, have a solid sales strategy. And in today's world, you know, all the different platforms, you need to be really intentional who you're talking to, on which platform, what you're trying to say. And at the end of the day, and this is probably the most important part of sales and marketing that's missing in the marketplace, is this nurture of existing customers. Yep. Lifetime value of your customer. If you will sit back and think what the lifetime value of your customer has a potential to be, you'll probably start caring about reviews. You'll start caring about referrals. You'll start caring about taking care of the people you worked for before, because these really are the low-hanging fruit, guys. This is, you know, and what we want to do is take those 5 dynamics, put together a complete business management system, includes all the things we talked about above. So that takes that's a journey. You know, it takes a couple years to work through a company, and while you're dealing with the challenges that are coming along, you know, so every meeting, you know, we're dealing with both current challenges as well as moving through, making sure this is a robust company that's going to have, it's going to stand. It's going to be something that has value going forward. So
Right.
yeah, and we do that. The way we do it at Next Level is we have 2 1-hour meetings a month. Okay. And then we have unlimited emails between them, between the meetings, so that we can work on whatever they're working on. We have an online hub we share work on, and I help hold them accountable, and they're accountable to keep moving forward. I don't do anything long-term contracts. I do it month to month, because in my opinion, that we share that responsibility of moving your business forward.
Well, I think it's great, Benny, because there's a lot of, I work a lot of coaching companies, and I think the good news is they get you. They don't get somebody who hired somebody who hired somebody. So that's great. So you're the guy who's going to talk to them. You're going to be their coach, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people like that. You know, I work together with eMyth worldwide. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but that's kind of the original coaching company. And I work with them for a number of years. And yeah, that's one of the disappointments, right? You go there, you're just getting the coach. They maybe never owned a business. They maybe don't know anything about construction, you know. But yes, absolutely. You get me, you get to talk to me, and I'm on your team. You know, between sessions, I'm thinking about how we can help you.
Well, I'm sure your ROI and investment with you has got to be huge. So Benny, how do they get in touch with you?
How do they get in touch with me? They go to consultnextlevel.com, and I'll give them a free hour of my time just to find out if they want to talk to me and if I can help them. And maybe we can help them even in that hour.
Cool. Well, thank you, Benny. I appreciate being here. And if you are looking for a coach, if you don't have one, you should be. And if you're looking for one, I think Benny's a great option. You actually get Benny, which is amazing. Thanks, Benny. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot for your time, Paul.
Thank you.